All right, folks, I think we'll go ahead and start just in the interest of getting everybody out here on a timely basis. So once again, I want to give you a little bit of history of GL Huyett, just so you know a little bit about us. We trace our founding actually to 1899 when Guy Huyett, this German immigrant, purchased the hardware stock of the Globe department store here in town. And for many years was operated right across the street where the Monument Company was at. Sometime later, it was asserted and probably pretty much proved that a hotel was purchased from up on the hill and drug in the mud downhill to over here to 126 South Concord. And if you're brave enough to walk upstairs over there, you can still see the old wallpaper on the wall. So we have a strong reason to believe that that's the story that happened. We were incorporated in 1906 originally, so as such, I believe we're the second oldest continuously operated business in the state of Kansas. I believe the number one would be the Bush Mize Company over in Atchison, Kansas. And if any of you have crossed the Missouri River Bridge there, it's that large building that sits right at the base. The business kind of took a life of its own under the stewardship of Bob and Dolly Hahn. Bob was third generation at that time, was still a very small business. Bob and Dolly, one employee. Bob was a professor up in Minnesota and started calling on hardware companies during his summers, and eventually, grew the business. They got kind of worn out, and so back in 1992, my wife and I purchased the business. So this is our 26th year. My wife couldn't be here today. We've got 5 kids, including our first grandbaby home for Thanksgiving. So unfortunately, all of you in total do not equal one grandbaby. So there's no chance. So anyway, it's the way it goes, Believe me, I know, because I'm sleeping outside probably. Anyway, we grew the business. This was the old tin shed. This is the actual old hotel, this structure right here. First few years in, we'd actually buy mobile homes and gut them, and then this is our office space. And so there's Bob Hahn sitting in there, and we used to operate out of mobile homes like that. As a matter of fact, it's Betty Gibson here. Betty is right here. Betty, interesting story of Betty Gibson right here. When she started at GL Huyett, she worked in the restroom, the bathroom of a mobile home, and her crates were in the bathtub, and her desk was where the vanity was, and then she had a file cabinet where the toilet used to be. So, and I'm pleased to report that now Betty is one of the leading experts in our field, in our enterprise system. She actually sits on a board, a beta test board nationally. So she's really, I think, illustrative as an individual of her evolving her skills, as well as the company involving theirs as well. So nice story there. We continue to grow. We, through the generosity of the citizens of Minneapolis, built 25,000 square feet out at this site back in 1997. We added another 25,000 in 2001. We did a lot of marketing, formed our own advertising agency, started manufacturing back in about 2001. And then recently, in October of 2015, we purchased a business down in the Memphis, Tennessee area. And this past July 13th, we bought another business down in Phoenix. And these businesses added new product lines for us, as well as new locations. So when you look, kind of reflect, just now spin this ahead to the last year or so, this is the product line that we purchased in Phoenix, and we've rebranded it as Aztec Lifting Hardware. And we are, in the coming weeks, are going to be moving a lot of the inventory from Phoenix over to the Memphis, Tennessee area, which will enable us to be a lot better in terms of our value proposition to customers east of the Mississippi River. Earlier this year, we purchased this business and this brand from a large Fortune 500 company, and started the Handy Check packaging business here in Minneapolis, and have grown that. It actually added a lot of complexity for us, and quite honestly, I think as managers we underestimated the distraction that this would cause us. So I think our team has really done a nice job, especially out in the operations area, of recovering from that. And then we've added new product lines, and this happens to be a product line that's a big initiative for us right now that's doing extremely well. So it's a very good year at GL Huyett. We continue our vision, which are 3, we call them ecosystems, 1 for talent, 1 for customer, and 1 for continuous improvement. So we're hell-bent on building systems where these three entities can thrive. We have a strategy to double our business to the $40 million level. We started this back in 2015. We were about 20 million in sales. We're well on our way. We'll do over 30 million this year, and it's been a journey together, and it's something that we're very proud of as we move forward. So a lot of exciting parts to our future. It wouldn't happen without our people, and we focus a lot on our people, not as much as I'd like to see, and so this will be a continuing opportunity for us as we move forward. But we do offer a comprehensive benefits program, which we package up as Huyett Care. We try to do a lot in performance management. I always find it interesting that people on a Saturday morning will throw beer cans at their TV if their football team makes mistakes, and then Monday morning they go to the office and that's all fine and dandy. Not at GL Huyett. GL Huyett, Monday we run the business just like you want your football team to run on Saturday, and so on that basis we have to attract a certain caliber of person that really wants to exceed in the world, exceed in life. And so, we don't deal with a lot of mediocrity at GL Huyett. And to be quite honest, I'm very happy, and I would want it no other way. So we've got a great team. We work hard on culture. I really couldn't say enough, and this is really the secret to our success. These people get involved a lot in the community, and as a company, we sponsor a lot of things in the community. We do a lot around the Ottawa County Fair every year, including a tokens program where we buy tokens. By the way, just so you know, the Ottawa County Carnival is one of about 15 or 20 locally owned, nonprofit-owned carnivals in the state of Kansas, because the concessionaire carnival people will not go to a town this small. So there's a nonprofit here in town that actually owns those rides out there, and so it's very important that they sell tickets. So we take that upon ourselves and buy quite a few tickets, and we donate those to our family, but more importantly, we donate a bunch of them to Love Inc., which is a local charity that gives them to needy families. And so this is a project we like. While I mentioned Love Inc., we also donate all their hams for their Christmas baskets. Lots of involvement with our facility across the street with community events, including Halloween. Tomorrow, our team will be volunteering, some of us over at the Applebee's in Salina for their annual Salvation Army dinner. We, as a company, donate all the turkeys for that, and the graciousness of our employees donate all of the what do you call them, sweet potatoes, whatever I hate I hate those things, but anyway, they graciously donate them, and it works out really well. So we have a huge commitment to the community. This year we upped our ante with our scholarship program. We now give out 5 scholarships per year in honor of some very notable and important people in our history. They're all each themed. They're $1,000 each. Going to graduating classes. You'll be able to get details on this come about March or so. So if you're interested, just pay attention to our website on how to apply, or how to have your kids and grandkids apply. But this is something that's very dear to our heart in terms of furthering the youth of our community as to the next phase in their lives. So another one of the things that we do. As far as Project Drive is concerned, this is our most important notable community action project, and it's something we've been doing now for a few years. Basically, the way it works is we believe that nonprofit people need the money now. So this is about getting money into people's hands now, and not about setting up foundations that have a lot of red tape, have to file tax returns, so on and so forth. Our mission is to get the money into the charity's hands now. We have 4 criteria we use to select the winners of Project Drive grants. The first is our relevance to the project. If you want $1,000 on $1 million project, it's probably not something we're interested in. So we want our grant to have some relevance to the project scope overall. Also, we want to look at the community impact. Now, when we talk about community impact, we consider the impact on the community that is benefiting from this, as well as the community in general. So like, for example, in the case of an elderly care facility, we might look at the impact on the subjects and clients of that facility and the impact on them, and not just on the state of Kansas or the United States of America or whatever. So it's the impact on the community that charity serves. We also look at the legacy in terms of what's the likelihood that this grant is going to continue and extend and pay dividends year after year after year. We have a really interesting project today to talk about that I think has some interesting legacy potential to it. And then we look at the application quality. Although we don't want anybody to have to hire any grant writers, we're pretty lax in this area. But having said that, sometimes we get applications and we can't even understand what's being applied for. So there's a kind of a minimum standard. Some things we don't look at location. So like we don't seek out to favor Minneapolis or pet projects, if you will. We don't consider operating funds, and we don't really look at the dollar value. And one thing I'd say about this year is, to be quite honest, the application quantity and quality this year was down. And one of the things that you'll see is we're kind of starting to make a greater commitment to this project. And so the dollar values that we're interested in need to start increasing. So we're going to be really interested in tens of thousands of dollar project values versus hundreds of dollars of project value. And so those of you that are stakeholders here in charities, I encourage you to consider that as you consider us as a potential funding mechanism down the road. The grants are selected using kind of a jury-style town hall. We don't have a sign up for it. We have pizza, and whoever wants to come up that night and help us select these applications, that's what happens. And so it's really nice to have our employees actually have a direct say-so in the decision-making process. And then as you'll see today, we also have our employees donate money to one of the projects by, we have a dress code out at GL Huyett, and on Fridays you're allowed to wear jeans for a donation to Project Drive, and so we total that money up and bundle that into a project, so it works out really nicely that way. This year we're doing nearly $60,000 in grants. We started the program back in 2008 with $1,000. This is the trend line for our annual giving in Project Drive. So you can see that we're starting to see an acceleration upwards. I will tell you that our ultimate goal is to get to $100,000 per year, and that's something that we're very excited about. We received 37 applications this year. That was down from 54 last year. So as I mentioned earlier, the quantity was down a little bit. And you can see that we ended up affecting 6 communities this year with the grant program itself. I think the only other thing I would say about this is that if any of you have any feedback for us on how to make this better, like one of the things we're starting to wonder about is we've always restricted it to a 50-mile radius of Minneapolis. I mean, is that something that we consider loosening up, expanding? Those are all things that we'd be interested in so that we can ensure that the community impact from what we do is optimized. As I mentioned earlier, this year through the generosity of our employees, we've got $1,350 that are coming from them as part of that $60,000. So very proud of the team on that. So these are the 2018 grant winners. The first is the Gypsum Community Library. Gypsum is a community, smaller community. According to this sign right here, it says they have 13 exits, so I guess it's bigger than what I thought. They have a library in their community, and I think they kind of in some ways find themselves in a similar situation that we do here in Minneapolis, in that city amenities there are pretty sparse because they're close enough to Salina where people will go to Salina. So they kind of struggle with that a little bit. So they asked for a grant in the amount of $1,500 to purchase family-friendly movies and books for their library, with the goal of trying to be able to have a destination place for after school and for families on weekends to come to. And so it's my great pleasure to announce that we're awarding $1,500 to the Gypsum Community Library. By the way, we'll save our applause for the end. So I know there'll be a picture here too, but congratulations to them. The next one is Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities of North Central Kansas is located in Salina, and they have an array of services that they do. One of them is what's called the Emergency and Mobile Outreach Program. And this is what I would characterize it as kind of an emergency food assistance kind of program for families. They actually have what I call a milk run that they run, where they have food available and needy families can go local within the service area of Catholic Charities to have food kind of on an emergency basis. This year they asked us for a $3,500 grant for a freezer, and what that freezer is going to do is allow them to install more shelving for dry goods into their pantry, basically make the area more efficient. Obviously they can keep food longer, so they'll have less waste of fresh foods. They can freeze fresh foods instead of allowing them to expire. The capacity should lead to a greater number of people that they can help. So it's our pleasure that we're giving $3,500 to Catholic Charities for this freezer. So very happy for that. Next one is the North Salina Community Development Program. This is actually the second time we're going to support this group. This organization does, and I just like the nature of this organization in that they do an array of programs to improve the quality of life in North Salina. One of them that they do are these little libraries. And a few years back, they partnered with the Salina Journal on some basis to get all of their used and old leftover, as we all know, a lot of print media is going digital. And so the idea of these newspaper boxes are kind of going by the wayside. So they developed a program to repurpose these, fix them up, paint them, and build these mini libraries. And so they've asked us this year for $3,542 to add more of these racks. They have about $1,200 in-kind matching donations. We're calling it a phase 2. So we're happy to give the North Salina Community Development organization $3,542 for the little libraries program. So congratulations to them. The next one is the community of Culver. This is the one I was telling you a little about earlier. It's kind of interesting in that this one is got the feeling of a seed capital project for me. The community of Culver, as you can see by this photo we pulled from Google Earth, is like a lot of small communities in Kansas. There are a lot of abandoned houses. There are some challenges to curb appeal as unfortunately people have exited from these rural towns and they leave a lot of debris in their wake. And so the community of Culver has a group of volunteers, and what they want to do is take one of these abandoned houses, which is this house right here, and refurbish it, including new windows, rent it out, and then use the rental income for additional future community projects. So if you think about it for a second, it pulls a vacant house, out of the stock of vacant houses in the local area that, as we all know, the longer they stay vacant, the worse they look. It provides, probably on a pretty economical basis, a family to occupy this house at a good value rental cost, and the profit from that rent can be used for future projects. We like this one, and so we're donating $3,170 to the Friends of Culver to rehab that house, and we'll be keenly interested in how that project goes moving forward. The next one is the local Lions Club here in Minneapolis, the Noon Lions Club. The Lions is an international organization. I think I saw today they're 1.4 million worldwide members. I know these guys meet quite regularly, and they have a proposal to redo these trash cans that are up and down the main street. It's actually a $9,500 total cost. Dr. Kerm Weedle, who I believe is here somewhere, is pitching in $1,000. And Doc, we thank you for your generosity on that. The city of Minneapolis is going to match, and then we're going to donate $6,657 to put these trash cans in. I will just say one thing, though, if I may, is that one of the things that entered into our mentality as we assessed this project was that a few years back we donated trees to be up and down the main street. And to be quite honest, those trees have not been maintained, and a lot of them have died. And I will just say that rests upon our mind. And so I do encourage the community of Minneapolis to be diligent in making sure that the improvements that they set in place stay in place and we don't move backwards as we move forward. So we're very pleased to do this grant. $6,657. I said that right. $6,657 for trash cans along Main Street. So make it look real nice. Next one is the community thrift store. This is here local in town. It's located pretty much right through that wall over there, across the way. This is a store in which people donate articles of clothing, and then the clothing is sold in some cases at deep discounts, in some cases free. And then the profits from it are used to help community improvement. This happens to be an article that we pulled where some of the funds were given to the local library for a project there. Their roof is in bad shape, so they have a $3,000 proposal to re-roof the thrift store. We're authorizing or giving a grant of $2,500, and they have a $500 match, I believe, in labor and some materials. And so we're pleased to give $2,500 to the community thrift store. Next is the Sunflower Adult Day Service. This is an interesting angle in that when you read their roles, basically what they do, from what I can infer, is they support the caregivers of elderly people, not necessarily directly the elderly people. And the way they do that is they try to help provide activities for someone that's taking care of their elderly parents at home. So where like you need a break. And so they try to provide that break, and they serve meals in that regard. So I think they kind of go about this a little different than your standard residential care kind of facility. We thought that was pretty cool. They've asked for $3,250 for some assets for their kitchen, which will allow them to serve their members better. And we all know the value of new appliances, when you're dealing with ratty-tat. So we're real pleased to give $3,250 to the Sunflower Adult Day Services organization. Next is the community of Glasgow. That's a slide. I was trying to edit these, but at the last second, but I think I missed that one. This is a facility up in Glasgow that the community is trying to basically build out into like a kids' youth center. They've got a $14,000 total project deal going on. They've already gotten $7,500 from the Dane Hansen Foundation and another few $100 from a couple of other organizations. This will involve bathroom repairs, their activity room repairs, which is where the kids would like play, do activities and such, and then some exterior lighting. You can tell if it was another hour, so you wouldn't be able to see that thing up there. So we're real happy to get involved in this project. So we're contributing $3,000 of the total project cost of $14,000 to help the community of Glasgow, and it's a nice community up there, and so we're happy to do that one. So great job on that. Next one is the Tesket United Methodist Church. They have an after-school program, as do a lot of churches, for kids. It's nice to give kids activities to do after school. It takes a little pressure off of parents who might be at work. Usually there's a spiritual element to it, so it's an opportunity to influence those skulls of mush into somebody that someday can be nice and moral and upstanding to the community. So it's a great club. They call it the Kids Club. They want basically some technology assets to help their programming. So $1,128 for a laptop, a projection screen, a projector, and some speakers so they can do activities. So we're happy to oblige, and $1,128 is going to the Tesket United Methodist Church for their kids club. Next one is the Minneapolis Senior Citizen Center. They do a Meals and Wheels program quite regularly, and we've actually done several support elements to them over the years. This is another kitchen upgrade, $880 for a commercial ice machine, microwave, and then they have these food carriers for outside people, shut-in types. So we're pleased to give $880 to the Golden Wheel Senior Center, and I think the advertising agency for them has decided to label this as delivery done right. So congratulations to them. The last one is one that was inspired last year by the Salina Rescue Mission. They made an application last year which we helped fund for some raised garden beds for a community garden. And the cool thing about this is that the people that are involved in raising the crops, it's a very spiritual, peaceful existence, an opportunity. And then the food can be donated to food pantries and such. And so last year, this kind of got our wheels turning. And so this year, we decided to improve and create the GL Huyett Community Garden. Those of us, and I'm looking for Becky and Nick, and some of us, it was Zach. I'm sure I'm singling a few people out, but it was a hell of a lot of work. But it was a great experience. In fact, we actually have employees that go out there and walk through it at lunchtime. We put a couple picnic tables out there. It's a very peaceful thing. We would welcome anybody from the community that wants to help us weed. Just come on out. We won't arrest you or anything for trespassing if we see you back there. But this has been a great experience. We've donated a lot of food to Love Inc., a little bit to the Salina Rescue Mission. This is something next year I think our production rate needs to go up. But we spent a little under $20,000 and built quite a significant operation out there. And these are the kind of projects that we want to try to model as we move forward, in support of the Project Drive program. So very happy to do that. So, to kind of summarize our projects for this year, we did books and movies for a tiny town, library. So, impacting kids. We did the commercial freezer food for a food bank, which are people, less fortunate, sometimes homeless. New kitchen appliances for the adult daycare center, which in this particular case really benefits the caregivers as much as the people that are being cared for. Increase access to books in that North Salina neighborhood. We have this income generating opportunity over in the community of Culver, which we'll be studying carefully. That was, by the way, how the carnival got started out here at the Ottawa County Fair. So we're excited about that. Trash cans out here in Minneapolis, the thrift store here in Minneapolis, the recreation building up in Glasgow, the after-school children's program at the Methodist Church, the lunch delivery to help over here with the Golden Wheel for senior citizens. So you can see, there's a lot of impacts that we have. And by the way, I share these things with you not to cast any grace or gratitude upon us. I do it more to inspire the possibilities. It's amazing what $60,000 measly can do for communities, when there are people out there that have millions and billions sitting in foundations. And it's amazing what volunteers can do with their time. And so, what I always look at is I look at the Oscar Schindler quote, whoever saves one life saves the entire world. We have such opportunity in this room. And so, as we go forward in life, I can assure you that the people at GL Huyett are going to continue to work hard on ourselves and our teams. We're going to try to provide for our families. And as owners of the company, we're very interested in furthering the betterment of the community through all the people in this room. And I hope that all of you become missionaries and evangelists for us so that we can further these kind of programs elsewhere in this region of the United States. It's a great opportunity for us. Okay? In closing, I'll also say everybody's a free agent. And so we are hiring. And so if you have sons, daughters, grandkids, and these got to be the ones that pick up after themselves after the table. We don't want the lazy slouches that sit around and expect to be served. We are recruiting, and this is an exciting new website we're going to be publishing out there pretty soon to describe our value proposition. But here at GL Huyett, you can be part of something different, and we would accept your family members that want to come to work at GL Huyett. So we look forward to that. Thanks again for your time. Appreciate everybody's generosity. I think Zach and those guys will want to take some pictures somewhere, Zach, over there probably. So congratulations, everybody. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Thanks.